already got one rolled up in my left.
Okay, so today guys, I have another walkthrough, walk around, build breakdown, and today we are here with Irvin Ortega and his Lexus IS 300. So why don't you tell us just how long ago did you get this thing and how much did you pick it up for?
Oh God, I got this thing in 2015, back before the COVID price spikes, and even back then this thing was $10,000. This was a factory manual 03, which back then were still going for a good amount of money. Now they're going for probably even more with the amount of mileage that I got it with.
So do you know exactly like how rare the factory manuals were? Because obviously IS manuals rare, SC manuals even more rare.
They're pretty rare. I don't know exact production numbers, if I'm being honest. I've never been the brochure type of car guy.
Yeah.
But
how much of a premium do you pay for a factory manual as opposed to an auto?
When I was looking originally, the autos were going for like $3,000 to $4,000 in like very nice condition, and manuals would be $10,000 around.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Just for that factory manual.
Which it's not even like a good manual transmission. Like the W55 cannot handle power or anything like that. It's just the fact that it is a factory manual just makes it so much more expensive.
And it's really just the prestige of saying it's a factory manual, right? Because like it's easy to swap.
Exactly.
Because there's so many parts for these. It's just a 2J.
Yeah, seriously. And that's the funny thing is that like so many people, like when they see that it's a factory manual, they're like, whoa, dude, it's a manual. I was like, yeah, but like I wish I had just saved the money, gotten an auto, and then like been able to put a real transmission in it when I started.
Yeah, because you could have done what, spent $2,000 less and then gotten a CD009 kit,
basically.
or you could spend $4,000 less and get a CD009 and the kit and everything else, and you're set.
Yeah, exactly.
You can hold way more power, but it's factory manual, so when you go to resell it, you know.
I'm never selling this thing. This thing is going to the grave with me.
You and your IS.
100%.
Okay, and I can see here you've got an Altezza as opposed to a Lexus, and you also have a pretty trick little lip there and side skirt. So what's the story on that? How was that fitted?
So the Altezza front grille is I actually bought that brand new in the Toyota packaging, which was super cool. Like actually being able to like unwrap it.
Wait, so was it just the badge or was it the whole grill?
That entire grill and the badge, they come. I mean, the deal that I got they came together, but they actually come separately from Toyota, so I have like the little packaging for both of them.
Yeah.
The front lip is actually just a eBay knockoff of the Greddy front lip for these things. And it was super cheap. It was like probably $100, but I mean, I don't necessarily. The thing is that this thing, driving lowered cars with like expensive aero up front, like I'm gonna fucking hit that on every speed bump that I'd like try to get over.
It's an investment piece if you get something nice.
Yeah, I might as well just put something cheap on there so that if I do break it, then I just throw another one on.
Or you get something really expensive like carbon that you can repair.
Oh yeah, because I want to be repairing carbon.
Pouring epoxy every weekend.
Absolutely not. Well, actually, I do have some plans of like making some carbon stuff down there that's going to be very fragile, and I'm gonna hate myself anytime that I damage it. But we'll save that for a later day. The side skirts are OEM TRD skirts. These actually, when I got them, were painted blue because they came off of a blue car.
Okay.
I originally tried to go eBay with these guys too, but for some reason the eBay skirts don't fit like the eBay lips. The eBay lips, I've been completely fine getting front and rear lips.
Yeah, because this is like this is a pretty good fitment up front.
Dude, I did nothing to make this thing fit like this. Like literally nothing. I just painted it and it fits okay.
Yep.
The skirts were a totally different story. These things, like I got them out of the box and they were just completely warped. Like would not fit, would not look good no matter what I did to them. So
no to eBay aftermarket skirts?
Yeah, I returned them literally the day that I got them. And bought this set, which is quite a bit more expensive, but honestly, for the look, it's worth it, and they fit nice.
And then, did you get this stuff paint matched, or?
The front lip, I actually got in an accident a while ago, and that is why I have mismatched headlights. If you can see, the inside of this housing is the stock chrome, and the inside of that one is black. Okay. So the original owner had actually pulled the headlights apart and painted them both black on the inside. but I got in an accident on the front right of my car, which ended up completely like breaking my bumper. It wasn't really too bad, but it just like broke all the plastic stuff. So when that happened, I was like, yo, like insurance is gonna cover this. Can I just have you guys paint this to match the bumper? And they're like, yeah, that's totally fine.
Well, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, so they didn't even charge me anything extra for that. So it was like, it worked out perfectly.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then wheels. Are wheels tricky for an IS? Because are people always asking you offsets on these things?
Yeah, so they aren't necessarily the best cars to put wheels on as far as like front fitment goes, because so you can see how these guys kind of stick out a little bit.
Yeah, you've got a bit of poke in the front.
A little bit of poke.
Just
and
tiniest
that's
bit.
Because the biggest wheel that I can basically fit on here is a 9-inch wide. If you were to look under this, like between the wheel and the spindle, there's millimeters of clearance. Like this is the biggest wheel that I can fit on an IS300 chassis in the front without going.
Do you have a
with
square
camber.
setup? Is the rear a 9?
Yes. So
okay.
I'm just running squared setup right now. As far as tires, I was running 255s in the rear for a little while, but honestly, like I went through them because I bought a set of 200 treadwear tires that were like $200 a tire, $250 a tire. And just went through them in one summer, so I was like, I should probably chill out with that, and just got some daily tires for it. But I do plan on getting some wider wheels in the rear, because although they fit pretty flush as far as the fitment that I want,
yeah, you're pretty tucked
out
back
to the
here.
fender, they do have a good amount more room on the inside that I could push it and fit a pretty like wide tire on there. But when I get power is probably when I'm going to do that.
Okay, and while we're on the wheel tire setup, let's talk about the brakes. These are it's a pretty trick. What do you got going on here?
Those are LS400 front calipers. So it's about, I think, an inch difference in rotor diameter from the IS300
that makes
stock.
a difference.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, don't let anybody tell you that an inch won't do anything, because it will.
Okay, so do these don't just bolt up, right? Or is there a bracket that you have to?
Kind of. So basically the calipers themselves come with these threaded inserts into them, and that's how they bolt on the LS. So the LS ones are just completely straight, so the holes are lined up completely in the center of the insert. Where on the IS300, the holes are actually a little bit wider, so you need to buy this kit that basically turns those just normal spacers into eccentric spacers, so you can spread that hole distance a little bit farther. But I mean that and roll center adjusters, and they bolt right up.
Yeah, that's pretty simple.
Stock brake line works, stock everything else, except for just the rotors, pads, and calipers.
Yeah. And then for those of you who don't know, which is probably just a few of you, Irvin's got his own YouTube channel where he's installed all this stuff. All this is on video, so if you want a step-by-step tutorial on the brakes or on the skirts or on anything, check out his channel.
Yeah, I'm sure the link will be in one of those corners.
It could be. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. I'm just kidding.
You have
no, I'm just kidding. I just haven't needed to do it.
So at the same time that I did the front calipers, I actually removed my rear calipers and did a rebuild on all of them. So they all have brand new seals, brand new everything, brand new pads. Rotors or Stop Tech slotted rotors. I don't do drilled and slotted because drilled is just kind of garbage. But
drilled's a little scary.
Well,
prone to cracks.
Yeah, it cracks and it just looks ugly.
Yeah.
But I actually took them all to get powder coated also. So all of them match, unlike some
Yeah, that's
people
really nice.
we
won't name names.
No, I'll say it.
He might have a video coming up here in a little bit where we talk about it in depth.
Good. You better mention that. But yeah, so these are
the powder coated matched front and rear. So the rear is still stock though.
Yeah, those are still stock, which probably should get upgraded considering that the pads on those things are like this big, like the smallest little brake pads I've ever seen. They're cute little units, but we'll see. And
then the roof, like the blacked out roof looks almost factory.
It makes it look so much better, right?
Yeah.
It's just aggressive. I like it. But
like I've seen a lot of ISs and I almost didn't even notice this like the first time I saw this car.
Yeah, so this is all completely just wrapped. This is Avery Dennison wrap that I just like I did myself. Like,
did you wrap over the moldings here?
Yeah, dude, I took them off. I used double-sided tape and I stuck them to my workbench so then I could just like get like good amount of torque on the shit. So like came out honestly really nice.
Yeah, I like it. Beautiful. And then around to the rear, I can see you've got an exhaust. What is that?
Yeah, that's a Goin Revolution RS. It's a 3-inch catback.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds really good. It's honestly a lot more subdued than I kind of thought that it was going to be, but I think that's because of the cats in this thing. This thing has 3 cats from the factory. It's got 2 on each of the 3 cylinders, and then another one after that, so I think that kind of kills the sound a little bit. Every once in a while I hear a few little pops and bangs, but they're like, dude, they're quiet.
Hints.
They're just. So I think once I get rid of those, this thing will be pretty rowdy.
Is this kind of the go-to exhaust, or is there a lot?
Well, there are a few different options. This is, at least it was before COVID, this was basically the go-to exhaust. After COVID, I've heard reports of people waiting like months because these things have been back ordered since then, and it's just been so hard to find them. So I literally, dude, I got it at the perfect time, because if I had waited any longer, I wouldn't have gotten it.
Man. And then, are these aftermarket taillights?
Yes, these are just eBay LED taillights. Honestly, I like them a lot better than the factory ones, because the factory ones have a lot more chrome back here, and I'm not necessarily too much of a chrome guy.
Have you had any problems with eBay taillights? Because I heard this one really weird story of a dude with like a Z, like a 350 or something, that had eBay taillights, and like he'd occasionally lose power like while driving, like
the car.
Yeah, like he would like it would be like down on power, and eventually they found out that like they unplugged the taillights and like he never had it again. It was something weird, like a controller in the taillights or something funky like that.
I don't understand how that could happen.
I have no idea either. I've heard that. I've heard that story before, though.
Yeah, no, I've never had any issues with it, honestly. Like, they're a little strange because they are LEDs. So plugging the connectors in, if you don't get the polarity right, then it makes the either the brake lights or the tail lights not work. And so that kind of scared me when I first installed it. I installed it and like 2 of them didn't work. I was like, dude, what the heck? And then I went and switched the connectors and they all worked and it was perfect. But no, I've never had any issues with them, honestly.
I haven't really seen it on ISs, but this kind of like looks like it'd be perfect for an infinity tail, like on a Skyline. Does that get done on these at all?
I have seen it. Not on any like real cars. I've seen like pages that make them, but like I haven't seen any people that have actually like installed them. I'm not going to tell you that that's not necessarily a plan for this in the future, but
don't want to spoil too much.
It might be.
So interior is pretty much bone stock.
Completely, I'd say. Other than the shift knob, that guy is a racing stainless steel shift knob. It's quite a unit. That's probably a 2-pound shift knob, but it makes the shifting so buttery smooth. Have you seen that video online where the dude's just like shifting the bus and just like
with like two fingers?
That's exactly what this thing feels like.
Well, that's awesome. Why you need the carbon parts, right? Is to make up for that shift knob that you got on there.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I feel like I'm not saving weight if I'm adding carbon, but you know, whatever. I do plan on pulling this entire dash out and kind of refreshing it. I'm sure a lot of you IS nerds will know that the sticky dash on these things is...
Yeah, I mean, anybody knows about the sticky dashes on ISs.
Yeah, dude, it's gross. Like, literally, like, you could look at this thing wrong and you could mark it up.
It's kind of weird that they would go with such a cheap coating on a luxury car.
I mean, I'm sure at the time they probably thought that it would do a little bit better, but just over the years it degrades.
Yeah.
Not really a whole lot you can do except for just strip it off and...
Yeah, so to do it right, you have to take out the whole dash and sand down basically everything.
There's some people that are crazy. I've seen a lot of people do it in car, and I'm like, yo, that's...
Just like newspaper up against the windshield.
Yeah, like dashes are not that hard to take out. Just please. I don't understand. But yeah, I think...
Those are the same people that paint their brake calipers with them still on the car.
Disgusting. Oh,
the line gets paint on it, the rotor gets paint on it, the pads are painted.
The worst thing is the pads. If I see your pads are painted, I instantly just categorize you as like one of those types of people, and I'm like, I just don't want to be your friend, you know?
Yeah. That's fair enough. So at some point the dash will come out, it'll get sanded, it'll get repainted, and then I remember you telling me you wanted to do like a, what was it, like flecking or
flocking?
Flocking.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about doing paint on all of the kind of front-facing parts, basically the sticky parts of the dash. This is all going to get just painted with like nice automotive paint.
Yeah.
And then this
High heat enamel.
something like that. This stuff up here, I'm thinking about flocking, which is basically the process of using an adhesive and then throwing, I think it's like some sort of Alcantara dust onto it. So it makes it look like Alcantara, but it's a little bit of a cheaper way of doing it instead of actually having to like wrap it.
So all of this plastic will get paint, and then all of this up here will get the flocking.
Yep. It's a big rally thing. They do that to keep sun out of away from reflecting off of like dash surfaces, because it's a really nice like matte finish. So
would you try and match this same bluish color you have in here, or would
That's
you
a
go
good
for
question.
Would you go for black?
That is a good question. I'm not necessarily sure. Jesus fucking Christ. I hate that ringtone. That's a good question. I'm not necessarily sure. There are a lot of accents on this car that do have that blue suede interior, which would be cool to keep that going. I'm not necessarily sure if I'm even going to keep this. I think that at some point I want to get this redone in maybe like a different color, maybe like a black perforated suede, and then get some stitching, some colored stitching on there, because I really like high-end like supercars, and supercars always have stitching on stuff.
Yep.
But like this kind of stuff just never does. So I want to maybe redo some of that at some point, but obviously I'm not doing that myself. I don't.
That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. Radiator in there, you know.
Oh yeah, we got to show off the radiator. Pop that bad boy open. Have you noticed any improvements with the radiator?
Yeah, it cools way better.
You can just feel that?
Yeah, I know it. My car tells me this.
So we've got a pretty much bone stock 2J
Hey.
VVTi.
Hey.
Okay.
We've got a fluid.
Tell me
damper
about
on
your
there.
corroded battery terminals
Oh my
then.
God.
If
Why don't you look at the coilovers, baby?
I can't see them.
Fortunato 500.
They're brown.
They're the best of the best. Okay, yeah, I should probably clean that thing a little bit, but you know, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, so we have a radiator. Beautiful.
Yeah, we have a Koyorad Racing.
We actually have an awesome video where Irvin here installed it completely blindfolded. And how long is the video? Like 20 something minutes?
I want to say it's somewhere around there.
And
yeah.
it took, we were there all day.
It was like 4 hours at least.
It felt like forever.
Okay,
it was
but
such a good video.
to be fair, I would have been done with that so much sooner if these guys hadn't been messing with me the entire time. I spent half of the time just trying to look for shit that they would keep hiding. So
it was a great video. So radiator, and didn't you spend like $20 on this cap or something?
I think it was more than that. But yeah.
Oh gosh.
It's worth it, dude.
And then Fortunatos.
Yes. They're custom spring rate Fortunatos, higher spring rate than factory, just because I want this thing to be dirt nasty low, and to get the type of ride that I want without like too much body roll or too much like vertical movement. I kind of had to go a little stiffer, but it honestly rides like stock. Like, I don't necessarily feel too harsh of a ride when I'm in it, unless I'm like hitting big bumps. But no, the Fortunatos are great.
Okay, well, it's pretty dry in here actually, which is surprising for a 2J. I've never seen these. I've never seen these without the entire front cover soaked in oil.
Unheard of. This thing, I basically, when I got this thing, it had all of the normal leaks that you know every single 2J has. The valve covers, the front cover, or the cam seals, the VVTi gear and all that kind of stuff were leaking. So I went through, did all of the maintenance on it, got everything nice and fresh, put a new water pump in it. I had to put a new clutch in it right after I did it, which is a horrible thing to do on these cars, because the room that they give you to get the transmission out is literally not enough room to get the transmission out. I had to lower the engine about an inch and loosen it on the mounts and push it forward as much as I could, and then flip the transmission upside down just to pull it out. It was ridiculous. I do not recommend it to anybody. I think next time that I try to do that kind of stuff, I'm just gonna drop the whole engine and just do it that way. But
yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's great to see like one of these not riced out completely, but still there's enough done to it where you can tell that like someone cares about it.
I mean, it'll get there. It'll get there. Just give me a second. It'll get there. No, this thing, I think the plans for this thing are to make it look quite a bit more aggressive than it does now. I might be adding some things that are a little bit controversial, and some people might not like them, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be really cool. But we're also adding power, which...
That's never controversial.
It's not controversial, but I am going to say that it's probably not going to be with this engine.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's about all I can say.
Huh. Not with the 2J. But it's a 2J. They make 1,000 horsepower.
They could.
Stock.
They could. And this one will at some point. Maybe not in this car, maybe in this car later. I'm not necessarily sure.
Okay, well, that's as much as I think Irvin's going to allude to this build at the moment. But that's kind of all on the back burner for right now, because there's also an RX-7 that doesn't run, that's been taken apart for what? 3?
Why are you gonna say it like that, dude?
4 years?
It's been a long time, yeah.
So we'll do another video on the RX-7, and I actually want to do that video before he finishes it, so we can see some of the stuff taken apart, and like interiors taken apart. Is there a dash in it?
There is a dash in it right now, but it's not bolted in because I still have wiring that I need to do.
So we'll be able to see that with the dash taken apart, with the back like buckets are out still for where the battery is.
Actually, no, that's all
okay.
done.
So we'll go through that, and you guys will get to see the half taken apart RX-7, and then we'll do a follow-up at someday at some point, maybe another 3 years.
Cool stuff on that one.
Yeah, that one's the one that's getting all the love and attention at the moment. Yeah, and this thing's just been the daily, but
yeah.
This, for any IS fans that have randomly found this video, will get a full a build series. But if you guys are interested in any of the maintenance or the wheel offset or the splitters or any of that kind of stuff, all those specs and links and all that kind of stuff will be on Irvin's channel. So that's about it.
YouTube.com @RotaryDaddy. That's me.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Huge thank you to Irvin for coming all the way out to the middle of nowhere to film this video about his car. I think we're gonna do a little photo shoot. There'll be some B-roll. There might be a flyby. Who knows? Thank you guys. Subscribe. Peace.